Intramuros is valuable not only for me but for the whole of the Bureau of Treasury because it's a convergence between the distant past and the present. Over the short span that I have served as the treasurer, I have seen how, through the efforts of the Intramuros administration, places like Fort Santiago, the surrounding walls and gardens, the old churches, and the plazas have become vibrant attractions, showcasing the old alongside the new. So indeed, Intramuros is on the rise. I'm Rosalia De Leon. I'm currently the Treasurer of the Philippines and I've been working here in Intramuros since 2013. Well, personally, Intramuros is important again to me because I find solace after hard day's work. But remembering my childhood, our family, we would always hear masses in the Manila Cathedral, particularly during Easter Sundays, no? And just the same, there are also times when here in the Treasury, when our jobs will be very demanding, but as we see the surroundings of Intramuros, some sort of takes away, all this stress and reminds us of how lucky we are to be in this place, surrounded by the history of the Philippines around us. Hope that this treasure of ours could be preserved for the generations to come. I hope that we would not be detached so we could reach out to more people and instill in them a deep sense of our history, the richness of our culture, and a deep sense of the very rich heritage that we have inherited from our forefathers.
Eskwela Talyer, ito yung nagbigay sa akin ng pangalawang pagkakataon na ayusin lahat. Tinutulungan kami para ma-develop yung mga skills namin para magkaroon kami ng kakayahan na gumawa ng sarili rin naming pagkakakitaan. Ang natapos ko dito ay carpentry and woodworks, tsaka painting and finishing. Ako si Romel Rivera. Graduate ako ng Eskwela Talyer ng batch 7. Ma-improve siguro yung pakikipag-connecta ng mismong Intramuros administration sa community, yung mas mas mapatibay pa. Pagdadagdag pa sa mga pwedeng magamit na parte ng Intramuros. Yung trabaho ng mama ko kasi dito sa San Agustin Church, parish coordinator siya, kaya pa lang yun, hindi pa ako pinapanganak, nandun na siya. Intramuros, na sa akin to, parang mahal ko yung lugar na yun kasi dito ako pinanganak eh. Ayun na yung pinakabahay ko, hindi lang yung bahay na tinutulugan ko sa loob. Yung mismong Intramuros, siya na yung pinakabahay ko, yung mismong pader. Safe ako pag nasa loob.
Dahil po sa isang hanap buhay na marangal na nagpipidikab. Dati po akong waiter ng Tamayos Catering. Ngayon, nagpipidikab na po ako dahil marami pong turista dito sa loob ng Intramuros. Nandito po ako sa Intramuros, 1994. Bukod po sa pagpipidikab, tinitrain po kami ng DOT sa pag-guide ng tour and guide sa Intramuros. Sa darating na panahon, marami pa pong mga improvement ang Intramuros dahil sa IA, sa maintenance, sa kalinisan, kaayusan. Good morning po. Ako po si Gerald Abillar. Ang trabaho po dito ay nagpipidikab. Ang gusto pang mangyari dito sa loob ng Intramuros ay ma-improve yung kagandahan, maraming matulungan na barangay.
As a child, I would frequent Intramuros because of our educational field trip. We would usually go to the Manila Cathedral. So it's part of my childhood memory. Little did I know that after many years, I would be a resident of Intramuros. The Cathedral started as a small parish church here in the same spot in 1571. When we talk of Manila, especially during the Spanish times, it was Intramuros. And the Manila Cathedral is in the heart of Manila, which is Intramuros, being the first cathedral in the Philippines, the center of Philippine governance. This was also the center of Philippine faith. Religion, especially Christianity, is not just about doctrines. Religion is about relationship. Young people are so engrossed in an activity, especially when they see that what they are doing is something that benefits others. And I think the church provides them with many opportunities for that. I wish that Intramuros to be a place where tourists are enriched when it comes to their discovery of their faith. I am Father Reginald R. Malikdem. I am the rector of the Manila Cathedral since July of 2015. Little did I know that after many years, I would be asked to take care of Mother Church of the Philippines of Intramuros.
Intramuros, as like I said, it is the noble and ever loyal city. Its spirit will not die. This is our history. This is the story of our people. This is where everything started as far as this Manila is concerned. This is the history of our people. Fondest memory, of course, is going to Fort Santiago and learning a little bit of the history of Rizal. And then learning how, well, we were exploited, we were oppressed, but because of the resiliency and strong character of the Filipinos, we were able to survive all of that. I am Mengi Covarrubias. I am under the office of the University President, Dr. Leonora Vasquez de Jesus. At the moment, I am a consultant. I am handling now our tourism and hotel and restaurant management courses. Pamantasan ng Luzon ng Maynila was incorporated in 1965. It opened its dours in 1967 to its first batch of students. With PLM alone, this is a lot of history. So what we do now is we try to impress on our students the historical value and the cultural legacy of Intramuros. It is not simply the walls and the cobbled streets. So we try to impress that it's really part of our culture, our history, and our heritage. My role right now, like I said, is to impress the importance of Intramuros, that it is a part of our life, it is the story of our people. Now, coming from that, it can provide you with so many possibilities in terms of employment. You see, if we can improve our community, the shops to be open, restaurants, coffee shop, curio shops, we don't even have to look far. You know, if you're just thinking of employment, you're thinking this is something that we can do for our country. I don't think I have too much time. The near future to me was yesterday. So we hope that most of the original would be restored. I'd like to see more locals traveling here or coming around here make use of this as their park, as their leisure places. In the meantime, learning a lot about history.
Every great and important city has an old town. Intramuros to me is Manila's old town. I have always been awed by Intramuros. It seems like when I'm coming here, there is an excitement that you feel that what happened in this place. There is something so sacred, so noble, so precious about Intramuros. I named it after my grandmother, Barbara, to just give it a Spanish flavor. And for some years, after a few years, we decided to really gear towards heritage so that people will see and know what is heritage, what is sinauna, yung kinaugalian natin, yung traditions natin, which will be seen in our cuisine and in our performances, in the dance that we present here in Barbara's. I would attribute it to my mom, to my mother, who taught me the value of work, the value of excellence, the value of feeding people in style and giving them satisfaction. I would want to happen that Intramuros will be remembered by every person who comes to this place because of its uniqueness, its sacredness, its history, its everything. There is so much here. I'm Barbara Gordon de los Reyes of Barbara's Heritage Restaurant. I have been in Intramuros for the past 30 years, which has been a great part of my work, my joys. It's like an adventure.
I've been a resident of Intramuros for half of my life, and my children has grown to love this place. We are trying to promote Intramuros through our venue because we feel that this is one way of inviting tourists to come and experience Intramuros. This place is actually the ancestral house of my husband. So this is where he grew up. So he's been here for like his entire lifetime. So it really means a lot, not only to him and his family, but to us also. We would like Intramuros to be a premier tourist destination. My name is Cosette Chua. I am the Managing Director of Pavilion de la Castellana. We are working closely with the administrator to further improve what we have. I believe that this is the only historical place that's left in Manila. In my own little way, I would like to think that I can contribute to its historical value.
It was a very exciting time. That's what I remember most. I was on a holiday and I got a frantic call. Where are you anyway? they have been looking for you. And I said, what about? Having a restoration force as big as Intramuros was at the time didn't exist anywhere in the country. When we came into Intramuros to work, what are we restoring? We do not know. How did it look, except for the ruined walls? That's why we have to dig pictures and pictures and pictures just to be able to provide a background and tell people this is important, this part of the walls look like this. Everything was something that came to us by a calling, you'd say, that we have to do it right. Intramuros is a beautiful memory of the past. It is like a microcosm of all things good and bad. There are many good stories about Filipinos, people who headed the construction of the walls, and they were Indios. The carvers were Filipinos also. People should follow the regulations more, and that they should not seek exemption all the time. And this applies to both government, church, and private owners. I'm Esperanza Bunag Gapunton. I was hired, I would say, I was one of the first employed in the Intramuros administration structure, and that was pretty 1979. You have many people saying that Intramuros should not be preserved because it is a colonial memory and that should be erased. I don't think so. It represents failure. It represents achievement. So it's about time that our people should see Intramuros is not just a symbol of colonialization, but a symbol of our spirit to rise above that.
For me, Intramuros is a place of history. It is a cultural and creative hub, and it brings so much pride and joy to the 5th District as well. If I could describe Intramuros in one word, it's mesmerizing because walking along or walking around, it gives you a sense of history and makes you step into a whole new world that is so different from what you see outside the walls of Intramuros. My fondest memories of Intramuros, I would say, was when I was a little girl, because I also grew up here in the 5th District, and as a little girl, I would come to Intramuros with my parents. I would tag along. I would ride the Calesa. I would go around Intramuros, Fort Santiago, and I would remember also coming to Barbaras to eat with my dad. Hi, my name is Crystal Bagatsing. I am currently the Congresswoman of the 5th District of Manila, where Intramuros is located. One of my advocacies is about culture, preserving culture, and one of the things that I also do as a Congresswoman is make legislation, and I also have a constituency inside Intramuros. I think it's very important because when you say Metro Manila, there's really no place to go to for a cultural experience or for a historical experience. And there's really no other place like Intramuros. It's an original. There's nothing like it. If you want to have a feel of how it was to live during the Spanish times, this is where you go. I wish that everybody would work together to keep Intramuros the way it is, but make it better, preserve it better.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the 39th episode of the Intramuros Learning Sessions. This is your host, Rancho Arcilia, and this episode is brought to you by the Intramuros Administration in partnership with Pamanatag. And joining me from Pamanatag as co-host for today is Bea Dolores. Bea, you're on mute.
Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I am Bea Dolores, and for today, I am your co-moderator. This learning sessions is co-organized by Pamanatag, a budding project that aims to raise the level of discussions on disaster risk reduction and the Philippine heritage.
Thank you so much, Bea. And today we're going to discuss the City of Manila's new Tourism, Cultural, and Development Plan. So there's a new plan from the City of Manila, and we're going to talk about the basics of it. So, but before we start, we should go over the house rules first. So let me share my screen for our house rules. Right? So for Zoom attendees, you may raise your questions via the Q&A button below, and for FB Live viewers, you may raise your questions in the comment section. Only those who have successfully registered and viewed in Zoom will be eligible to get a certificate, and the feedback form will be emailed to you after the session. A certificate will be sent within a week. Note that the webinar is recorded, and the recording shall be made permanently available in IA's social media channels. You're on mute, Bea.
All right, thank you. And for our speaker for today, it's Angelo Carlos Salonga of Department of Tourism, Culture and Arts, Manila. Angelo Carlos Salonga is a Tourism Operations Officer at the Department of Tourism, Culture and Arts of the City of Manila. Aside from his work at the City Hall, he is currently the Vice Chairperson for External Affairs of Youth Reform Movement, PH. He has a bachelor's in Arts in English from the University of the East Manila, an Associate of Arts in Language and Literature at Central Luzon State University, and is currently taking up an MA in Communication Management at Polytechnic University of the Philippines.
Later, we're going to have 4 reactors who will give their comments on the presentation. And representing the disaster risk perspective, we have Dante Eleuterio of the Bangsamoro Ministry of Interior and Local Government. So Dante is a disaster risk management specialist. In his over 2 decades work as a DRM consultant with extensive experience in disaster risk management and climate change adaptation, he has worked with the World Bank, the Philippine Red Cross, Save the Children International, UNICEF Philippines, and Action Against Hunger, as well as provincial DRRM offices across the country and with the local government academy. He has a master's degree in disaster risk and crisis management from the Asian Institute of Management. And Dante is currently a capacity development consultant at the Bangsamoro Ministry of the Interior and Local Government, and is also one of the advisors of Action for Resilient Communities Incorporated.
Representing the grassroots perspective, we have Tobit Fernandez of Taytay Advocates of Cultural Heritage. Sir Tobit Cruz is a local community leader. He is presently a council member of the Sangguniang Barangay, local village of Santa Ana in Taytay, Rizal. As council member, he was able to push for the enactment of a total of 27 ordinances, as well as over 200 resolutions in the past 27 years. These ordinances include the establishment of the Barangay Environment and Natural Resources Office to ensure all other environmental ordinances are implemented and observed, as well as the Barangay Youth Development Council that provides spaces and opportunities for youth participation in local governance. He also sponsored their barangay's comprehensive solid waste management ordinance that is now recognized as model in Rizal Province.
And representing an international perspective of conservation, we have Tina Paterno. Tina is an architectural conservator. She holds a master's degree in historic preservation from the University of Pennsylvania and worked for a decade as a conservator in New York City. She then established her own consultancy firm in New York, the T. Paterno Conservation Incorporated, and the firm's work, largely about the treatments and repairs to preserve authenticity, relies on archival research, materials diagnosis, documentation, cycle materials testing of stone, brick, cast and wrought iron, mild steel, glazed terracotta, concretes, mortars, and non-ornamental stuccos. She returned to Manila and co-founded and managed the San Sebastian Basilica Conservation and Development Foundation Incorporated. In addition to her day job, Tina's evenings are spent remotely managing her consultancy firm in New York. She is currently the president of the International Council on Monuments and Sites, Philippines.
And from an advocacy standpoint, we have Stephen Pamarada of Escolta. Stephen Pamarada is cultural worker and entrepreneur. He is presently the project manager of the Philippine Registry of Cultural Property, or PRECUP, office at the National Commission of Culture and the Arts. Stephen is an advocate of cultural heritage preservation and is primarily involved in the revival efforts of some historic neighborhoods in Manila, namely Escolta, Quiapo, Binondo, and San Nicolas. He has a BA in Philippine Studies, major in Filipino and Mass Media from the De La Salle University, Manila.
All right, before we proceed with the presentation, we have a video from the city of Manila to welcome us in the Bagong Maynila. So, Kuya Jeff, if you may please.
Halina't bisitahin natin ang Manila, tamang kapanatagan at pagmamahalan. Ito'y bahagi ng aming tanging yaman, sa lugar na sagana sa kultura at kasaysayan.
Tuloy po kayo magalak sa aming hinanda, sa pagdating sa lubungin ng ganda ng Manila.
Pagmasdan ang lungsod niya, may malasakit at patungo sa pagpunla. Manila, ningning at sentro ng Pilipinas, sigaw sa mundo, taglay nito ang kagandahan. Welcome po kayo sa Manila.
Here we go! Unite together, bringing hope to a country, we call it Manila. Matayog ang pangarap, ako at ikaw, parang magagarang gusali na natatanaw. Bawat misyon at mithiin, bahagi ng kasaysayan ng bagmo sa Pilipinas. Hayag na sa ibang bayan, tuklasin ang kasaysayan, sadyang nakakahalina sa lugar na makulay. Welcome po sa Manila.
Tuloy po kayo magalak sa aming hinanda, sa pagdating sa lubungin ng ganda ng Manila. Oh Manila,
may malasakit at patungo sa pagpunlan.
oh Manila, at sentro ng Pilipinas, sigaw sa mundo, taglay nito ang kagandahan.
May malasakit at patungo sa pagpunlan.
Manila, dingding at sentro ng Pilipinas, sigaw sa mundo, taglay nito ang kagandahan. Welcome po kayo sa Manila.
Manila.
Thank you for that, Kuya Jeff. Now, AC, ready whenever you are.
So hi everyone, good afternoon po. Before we start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Angel Carlos Salonga. I am the Tourism Operations Officer of the Department of Tourism, Culture and Arts of Manila under the administration of Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso. So I would like to say thank you for having me here to the Intramuros administration. So let's start the discussion for today's episode. So for today's episode, I'm given a task to discuss the disaster risk resilient tourism of the Manila Tourism Cultural Development Plan for the year 2020 to 2025. So let me there you go. So let me give you a brief overview about the project. The city government of Manila through DTCAM has crafted the Manila Tourism and Cultural Development Plan 2020 to 2025. In the MTCDP, the administrative districts of Manila are grouped into 8 tourism hubs. Included in the MTCDP are the climate and disaster risk resilience assessment on cultural properties. So, let me play a video. Wait a minute. This is the redevelopment plan of the city of Manila. So let's all watch this.
Around the city of Manila, capital of the Philippines, is an experience worth taking, as it remains to be the premier tourist destination of the country. It is soaked in diversity, immersed in various cultures, and is beaming with palpable pride, hospitality, and love from its 1.8 million Manileños. It is a welcomer's flight to several ethnicities, from the bustling Chinese community in Binondo to the Spanish-themed Intramuros, the Muslim-residing in Quiapo, and the excitingly eclectic scene that thrives in Manila. The coastline showcases skyscrapers alongside houses, while historical landmarks are adjacent to modern-day structures. Recently, the Department of Tourism, Culture and Arts of Manila has been commissioned to strengthen the force behind this enormous task. DTCAM seeks to go beyond welcoming guests and maintaining artifacts, bringing the limited functions of the Manila Tourism and Cultural Bureau to an entirely different level. As a result, they have identified 8 areas in Manila that may boost engagement of a bigger volume of visitors to the city. Manila may be home to its residents, but is known as a bustling commercial district as well, where businesses have grown and thrived over the years. But most of all, Manila is a place where Filipino culture from the past to the present remains to be experienced. Its authenticity, charm, and dynamism continuously lures both local and international travelers, which is why tourism prevails to be a key economic player to the city, most especially in these trying times. As the world awakens from the slumber brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, the efforts to develop and promote Manila as a tourist destination is imperative, as the potential to create abundant employment opportunities will arise as a result. Welcome po kayo sa Manila!
So the city is envisioned to maintain its being the primary tourist destination of the Philippines and the rest of the world. Each of the 8 tourism hubs that you can see on your screen has a vision statement for tourism and culture. This will serve as an aspirational statement of what the specific hub would like to achieve or accomplish in the mid-term to long-term future. So the 8 tourism hubs, Tondo, Binondo, Escolta, and San Nicolas, the Santa Cruz, Quiapo and San Miguel, Sampaloc and Santa Mesa, the Intramuros and Port area, the Ermita, Malate, Paco, and San Andres, and Pandacan and Santa Ana. So, Tondo Hub, it is composed of legislative districts with heritage sites such as the Santo Niño Church, Plaza La Liga Filipina, the Plaza La Candula, the Plaza Moriones, the Plaza Morga, the PNR Tutuban Station, the Bonifacio Monument, the Rotonda del Fierro are among others. This hub aspires to be the bastion of Manila's history, birthplace of heroes, and melting pot of regional cultures. Its tagline is Tahanan ng Magigiting. So next is the Binondo, Escolta, and San Nicolas. It aspires to be the center of commerce and finance and cradle of Filipino-Chinese heritage and culture. It should be noted that the oldest Chinatown is found in Binondo, which was established in the year 1594. The tagline of the hub is Sentro ng Komersyo at Pananalapi. Third hub is Santa Cruz, the flower capital of Manila, heritage cemeteries, the trading center for non-consumer products, and Avenida Rizal as vaudeville entertainment center. The heritage sites popularly known in Quiapo and San Miguel, or the Dambana ng Pananampalataya and seat of the country's power, are the Minor Basilica of the Black Nazarene or Quiapo Church, the Malacanang Palace, the Casa Roses Restaurant. This hub aspires to be the Dambana ng Pananampalataya. Its tagline is Dambana ng Pananampalataya at Kabisera ng Kapangyarihan. Next hub is Sampaloc and Santa Mesa. It desires to be known as the Center for Learning and Education. It is for the fact that the university belt or high concentration of universities are located in Sampaloc and Santa Mesa. Its tagline is Sentro ng Kaalaman at Edukasyon. Next is Intramuros and Port Area. It's one of the most popular tourist destinations in the Philippines. It is rich with historical and cultural properties, while the port area remains to be the entry point to Manila from other places and vice versa. Together, this hub aspires to be the gateway to Manila's diverse history and culture. Next is the Ermita Malate, Paco, and San Andres. It aspires to become the repository of the Philippine art, heritage, and culture. Its tagline is Tanghalan ng Pamana ng Lahi, Gastronomiya at Aliw. And lastly, the Pandacan and Santa Ana. It aspires to be known as the root of early Philippine civilization, art, culture, and heritage. Its tagline is Pandayan ng Sining, Kultura, at Pamana ng Lahi. Manila is rich in history and culture. As of December 2019, the capital city has 356 declared and presumed cultural properties. 87.1% are presumed and 12.9% are declared. The number is expected to increase once the city government through DTCAM in collaboration with the NCCA and other national agencies, heritage conservationists, and other stakeholders have undertaken a complete inventory of the cultural properties. So, majority of these cultural properties are located in areas that are highly at risk to flooding, storm surge, tsunami, ground shaking, liquefaction, and sea level rise. Manila is susceptible to various natural hazards. So the first hazard that we come up to our study is the flooding. Flooding is defined by the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration or PAGASA as an abnormal progressive rise in the water level of a stream that may result in the overflowing by the water of the normal confines of that stream with the subsequent inundation of areas which are not normally submerged. So as you can see, there are three tables. The summary of flood vulnerability assessment for a 5-year return period. The next one is a 25-year return period. And the last table is 100-year return period. To assess the vulnerability of the cultural properties within the 8 tourism hubs to flooding, 3 return periods were used. So as I mentioned, these are 5 return period, 25-year return period, 100-year return period. 5-year return period for flood means that there is 20% chance of the hazard occurring in any year. For the 5-year return period, all except 3 cultural properties have low vulnerability to flooding. 3 cultural properties which have moderate vulnerability to flooding are the Bahay ng Nakpil Bautista Historical Landmark in Quiapo and San Miguel, the Linchauco Heritage House located in Pandacan or in Santa Ana, and the Manila Boat Club located in Pandacan, Santa Ana Hub. Next is for the 25-year return period, all except 3 cultural properties have low vulnerability to flooding. 3 cultural properties which have moderate vulnerability to flooding. These are the Holy Ghost Auditorium located in Quiapo San Miguel Hub. Next is the residence of Mr. and Mrs. Jose Yulo Jr. located in Ermita Malate, Paco, San Andres Hub. And lastly, the Manila Boat Club located in Pandacan, Santa Ana Hub. And for the 100-year return period, 334 cultural properties have low vulnerability to flooding, while 22 have moderate vulnerability. The summary of flood vulnerability assessment of the cultural properties per hub and return period are shown in these tables. In all 3 return periods, all 356 cultural properties within the 8 hubs are at low risk to flooding. Next is the storm surge. A storm surge is the rising of the sea level associated with the passing of a tropical storm or typhoon. This is due to the push of strong winds or water surface, the piling up of big waves, pressure set up, and astronomical tide moving towards the shore. 2 of 6 congressional districts of Manila are susceptible to storm surge. These are Districts 1 and 5, which are located along Manila Bay. Storm surge 4 levels of storm surge were used to assess the vulnerability and risk of the cultural properties within the tourism hubs to the said hazard. These are below 1 meter, 1 to 2 meters, 3 meters, and above 4 meters. 40 cultural properties are highly vulnerable to storm surge with a height of 1 meter and above. All of these are located within the Ermita Paco Malate Hub. The rest of the cultural properties have low vulnerability to the said hazard. The summary of the storm surge vulnerability assessment of the cultural properties per hub is shown in the table. So in Tondo, 19, in Binondas Cota, San Nicolas, there are 31, Quiapo, San Miguel, 27, Sampaloc, Santa Mesa, 26, Intramuros Port Area, 64, Ermita Malate Paco, total of 127, Pandacan, Santa Ana, 15. The Ermita Paco Malate hub, which has 40 cultural properties, are at high risk to storm surge. All other hubs have low risk to the said hazard. So these are the storm surge hazard map. Next is tsunami. Tsunami is a series of sea waves commonly generated by under the sea earthquakes and whose heights could be greater than 5 meters. It can occur when the earthquake is shallow, seated, and strong enough to displace parts of the sea and disturb the mass of water over it. As you can see, the summary of tsunami vulnerability assessment, 5 to 6 meters. 7 levels of storm surge are used to assess the vulnerability and risk of the cultural properties within the tourism hubs to the said hazard. There are 305 cultural properties are highly vulnerable to 5 to 6 meter tsunami. These are located across all 8 hubs, with Ermita Paco Malate having the most number, a total of 181. The remaining 51 cultural properties have a low vulnerability. Summary of tsunami vulnerability assessment of a cultural properties per hub is shown in table. Here is the tsunami hazard map. Next is liquefaction. Liquefaction is defined by Philbolts as a phenomenon when loosely consolidated sediment soil deposits lose their strength and appear to flow as fluids. Except for some areas in District 3, all 6 congressional districts of Manila are highly susceptible to liquefaction. So there are 193 cultural properties which are highly vulnerable to liquefaction. 161 are moderately vulnerable, while 2 have low vulnerability. The summary of the liquefaction vulnerability assessment of the cultural properties per hub is shown in the table. 1 in Tondo for low vulnerability assessment, 12 for moderate, and 6 for high, total of 19. Binondo Escolta San Nicolas, 10 moderate vulnerability assessment, and 21 high vulnerability for a total of 31. While in Santa Cruz, 1 low vulnerability for liquefaction, 25 for moderate, and 21 for high. Quiapo, 14 for moderate, and 13 for high. In Sampaloc and Santa Mesa, 24 for moderate and 2 for high. Intramuros Port Area, 23 for moderate and 41 for high. Ermita Malate Paco, 48 moderate and 79 high, total of 127. In Pandacan and Santa Ana, moderate 5, high 10. Around 270 cultural properties are highly at risk to liquefaction, with Ermita, Paco, Malate, and Malate having the most number, 186 are moderately at risk. So this is the liquefaction map. Next is ground shaking. Ground shaking is defined by Philbolts as the disruptive up, down, and sideways vibration of the ground during an earthquake. All 6 congressional districts of Manila are susceptible to ground shaking as strong as intensity 8, or very destructive as categorized by Philbolts. So you can see the table, the summary of ground shaking vulnerability assessment. There are 2 levels of ground shaking were used to assess the vulnerability and risk of the cultural properties within the tourism hubs to the said hazard. These were intensity 7 and intensity 8. There are 190 cultural properties are highly vulnerable to ground shaking. 157 are moderately vulnerable, and 9 have low vulnerability. The summary of the ground shaking vulnerability assessment of the cultural properties per hub are shown in table. Here's the ground shaking location map. Next is the sea level rise in the Philippines is 3 times higher than the global area. Sea level rise is the increase in global mean sea level as a result of an increase in the volume of water in the world oceans. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, identified the 2 major causes of global sea level rise as expansion of the oceans, or the water expands as it warms, and loss of land-based ice due to the increased melting that is based on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 2007. So the sea level rise, these are 5 categories of sea level rise were used to assess the vulnerability and risk of the cultural properties within the tourism hubs to the said hazard. These were 0.5 meter, 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, and 4.5 meters. So the 0.5 meter sea level rise, 350 cultural properties have low vulnerability to 0.5 meter sea level rise. These are located across all 8 hubs, with Ermita, Paco, Malate having the most number, a total of 179. The remaining 6 cultural properties are moderately vulnerable. The summary of the 0.5 meter sea level rise vulnerability assessment of the cultural properties per hub is shown in the first table. All except 2 cultural properties are moderately at risk to 0.5 meter sea level rise. The 2 cultural properties that are at low risk to the said hazard are Jones Bridge, located in Binondo's Cota, San Nicolas Hub, and in Memoriam of Thomas sites located in Santa Cruz Hub. So the next table is the summary of sea level rise vulnerability assessment, 1 meter sea level rise. Total of 316 cultural properties have low vulnerability to 1 meter sea level rise. 25 have high vulnerability, while 15 are moderately vulnerable to the said hazard. Next table is the summary of sea level vulnerability assessment for 3 meters. 294 cultural properties are highly vulnerable to 3 meter sea level rise. 46 have low vulnerability, while 16 are moderately vulnerable. The summary of 3 meter sea level rise vulnerability assessment of the cultural properties per hub is shown in this table. So next is the 4.5 meters. 341 cultural properties are highly vulnerable to 4.5 meter sea level rise. 14 have low vulnerable, while 1 is moderately vulnerable. The summary of the 4.5 meter sea level rise vulnerability assessment of the cultural properties per hub shown in the last table. Cultural properties are moderately at risk to 4.5 meter sea level rise, with Ermita, Paco, Malate having the most number, a total of 127. 15 are at low risk. So the Climate Disaster Resilient Project under the MTCDP for the year 2025 identifies strategies and corresponding programs, projects, and activities to enable the capital city to become the premier tourism hub in the Philippines and Southeast Asia. Among the strategies is to strengthen the resilience of the tourism industry to climate change, the natural disasters, as well as the COVID-19 and other pandemics and public health emergencies. In line with the strategy, the MTCDP has identified several programs and projects, including the clearing and widening of drainage and waterways, use of permeable materials for sidewalks and streets within select tourism areas, shift to energy-efficient lighting and construction materials, retrofitting of structures, and conduct of technical studies for long-term flood solutions. Complementing these engineering investors' interventions are capacity building in information and education activities to increase the public awareness on resilience building. So the adaptational programs and projects, we have the hard, which is the infrastructure, and soft for non-infrastructure. For the hard infrastructure, we have the mitigation programs and projects. For the hard, the retrofitting of structures in accordance with the pertinent policies on heritage conservation. And for the soft, for non-infrastructure, we have the technical studies for the retrofitting of heritage structures, the urban reforestation using native species, the shift to energy, the shift to sustainable urban transport systems, the capacity building of affected communities, the full implementation of the resilient initiatives under the MTCDP will require significant resources. As such, the city government of Manila will aggressive in fostering meaningful partnerships with the national government, private sector, international NGOs, and other institutions. Consistent with the Dumagoso administration multi-sectoral approach to development planning and management, the implementation of the resilience building programs and projects and the whole MTCDP will be undertaken through PPP or public-private partnerships, the intergovernment collaboration, and other modalities. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed my discussion about the disaster risk resilience tourism. Thank you.
Thank you, AC, for that very insightful presentation. So now we're going to proceed with the second part of our program, a discussion with our panelists. Pancho?
Sorry, I was on. Right. Thank you, AC, for that presentation. So we understand that you focused on the disaster risk management part of the plan. That was a very insightful presentation. Right. But before we start with the panelists, the commentary on the from our panelists, I'd like to remind everyone that if you'd like to ask questions, feel free to do so. If you're in Zoom, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and if you're viewing via Facebook Live, you can raise them in the comment section, and then we will read them as we go. Right there.
All right, Sir Dante, would you like to say something from your perspective as a disaster risk and crisis manager of the Bangsamoro Ministry of the Interior and Local Government?
Yeah, thank you, Bea, and thank you for inviting me here. This is actually my first time to join a discussion on tourism and cultural heritage, and then talking about disaster risk reduction and management. But which is actually good because I've been one of the advocates in terms of integrating DRR and CCA into the tourism industry, no? And I know for a fact that the capital city actually is, one of the most, has the most prominent tourism areas in the country. So it's good that, and it's a privilege for me to be here and to join you in the discussion. It's good that the presenter actually did a multi-hazard presentation of the plan. But I think there is a need to emphasize as well on physical security. This is actually on the human induced hazard, no? And which actually happened in Manila sometime in 2010. Remember the Quirino standoff, where there were actually people who were killed. No, some of them, I think, people from other countries like Hong Kong, no, because of that standoff. And I think there is a need to not to forget about that. That's actually my worry, because we need to ensure that as well. We're a country actually where insurgencies are part of the hazards that we encounter on a daily basis. No, and it happened in Pasay as well. It happened in Zamboanga, in urban areas, but also in rural areas. So we cannot deny for the fact that our tourism areas can also be used, no, by terrorists, by people who are actually against the government, or people who have grievance against some people or some political leadership. So I think that should be part of the plan, no, yung human security, yung human induced hazard, which it happened in 2010, and that should be also emphasized in the current scenario, because we're actually part of the many countries that has a problem regarding that. Second, it's nice because the presentation actually focuses on the risk and the hazards, but I would like to see, I'd like to see what are the concrete actions, no, like early warning systems for the tourism industry. How do you tell people that in case something happened, this is what you're going to do? And that's part of the risk communication. How do you want people to know that when earthquake strikes, what are they going to do when they're inside a particular heritage area or tourism place? No? What are the preparedness measures that the city tourism actually of Manila has for a particular when a particular incident happened? The other one is that that I became interested on liquefaction, tsunami, and earthquake, because these three actually goes together when an earthquake occurs. No, I was 6 years old when the 1976 earthquake occurred in Mindanao. Happened in Mindanao with a almost 7 kilometers tsunami with 8.1 magnitude earthquake. And then when we started leaving our houses, no, we go along the way towards the mountain, and we see little bodies of water actually that explodes. We do not know what it is, but according to our professor, Yusek Solidum, that's actually liquefaction. So when an earthquake strikes, there's a tsunami. And then when I lived, I grew up in a coastal town actually, just like Manila City. So when an earthquake occurs, and then there's tsunami, and that tsunami actually will pressure the land area where it is directed to, and it will the liquefaction areas will be exploded because of the pressure of the water. So it might as well kill people, because it is exploding, and people might get stuck into it, and they will be caught by the big waves. No? So that's part of it. Now the question is, how do you explain this to people, to tourists, no, to people who are not from Manila, and to people who are in Manila and who are actually in these areas? No? So that's actually that I would really wanted to see in the plan. No? What are the real action that needs to be done, that needs to take place in the plan? No? Sana makita siya at magawa natin ng communication, and then we now move towards educating people, telling people that this place actually is, this one. Not only about when we tell people about the heritage, about our culture, about the tourism, about the areas where they're visiting, I think it's good to inform them as well of the danger that is in there. But aside from the danger, we also need to say something about what are the preparedness measures. What are the things that we need to do? What are the things that we need to be very careful of when something happens? So I think those are the things that I really wanted to hear and see in the plan. for us to be able to really say that yes, we have a resilient tourism industry in Manila. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sir Dante. Those are very important points that you shared. And for the next part, it's Sir Tobit. Bilang barangay kagawad with the grassroots perspective, a youth leader, and a lead convener of Taytay Advocates of Cultural Heritage, ano po masasabi niyo about the presentation?
Hello, Bea, and hello everyone who's watching. No, as we speak, no, we still feel very emotional here in Taytay because as we discuss these things, as we discuss disaster resilience, our old municipio, one of our presumed important cultural properties, are being flattened right now. Together with the monument of Rizal and Inang Bayan, who are which is a registered important cultural property. No, that's why while listening to the entire program and coming from the perspective of community development and community grassroots approach, naisip ko talaga na it's really important that we go back to the very first foundation of understanding and deepening people's perspective about cultural heritage. No, kasi really I realized we cannot talk about making all these we cannot talk about making all our cultural heritage resilient and allocating budget for these things when people themselves do not understand the value of these things. No, hangga't hindi natin napapalalim yung pag-unawa ng mga tao sa importansya, at hangga't hindi natin napapalalim yung koneksyon ng mga tao sa baba, sa grassroots, sa mga cultural heritage natin, parang it's gonna be really hard to advocate for these things. Manila is very lucky because you have a local government who's very supportive about these things. So you have this department, this specific office who takes care of these things, and puts it in the plan of the local government unit. But I know that for a fact na hindi lahat ng lugar sa Pilipinas has the same office, no, or has the same initiative or effort to really protect our cultural heritage sites. And yun yung sinasabi ko din na importansya kung saan pwedeng pumasok yung taong bayan, kung saan pumasok yung mga advocates katulad natin, no? Kasi if hindi siya nakikita na importanteng agenda ng ating mga local government units, then I think it's very important for people, for the civic society, for the common people to actually talk about these things. It's important for the people to let their governments understand that these heritage structures are not just old buildings, and that we're not just being sentimental about these things, but this is an important part of who we are as a people and as a community. And for us, no, this is why we're currently organizing the Taytay Advocates of Cultural Heritage. Kasi now we're realizing na hindi pa siya nakikita ng aming lokal na pamahalaan bilang importanteng bahagi ng kung sino kami bilang isang komunidad. And I always tell co-advocates and I always tell the people here in Taytay na it's important that we value and appreciate these things because it helps deepen our sense of nationalism. You know, our heritage structures, whether the tangibles and the intangibles, it helps deepen our love for country. It helps deepen our sense of nationalism. And if we have a deep sense of nationalism within us, all our actions, all our decisions direct towards, making our community, our country, a better place to live in. And so for Manila, I think you're one step ahead than most of the communities here in the country. Sa amin, sa Taytay Rizal, medyo paurong yata kami, no? Kasi ngayon, we struggle to let our government understand that these are not just, physical buildings that you can just demolish anytime you want and replace it with the development that you think is more important than those heritage structures, no? And really, to help government understand, our goal now is to make the people more aware of these things. And we hope that these awareness could actually deepen the people's sense of care and connection to our cultural heritage sites. So thank you so much for this conversation. No? I've seen in the participants sa marami ring mga taga-Taytay na nandito. And I know that there are still a lot of communities in the country who are struggling with the same issues. Na sometimes yung government na dapat nagpoprotekta sa ating mga cultural heritage sites, sila pa yung hindi nagwawalang bahala dito. No? So I hope that we continue this kinds of conversation and deepen our these level of conversations even in the grassroots level. Maraming salamat.
Thank you for that, Tobit. Next, we have Tina Paterno. Tina, would you like to say something from an international conservation standpoint?
Hi, Rancho. Thank you. Yes, I'm on my phone. The signal is weak, so I won't turn off my video. I hope you don't mind. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Yes, loud and clear. Okay, so let me introduce ICOMOS really briefly, if I may, Rancho. It's the International Council on Monuments and Sites, and it's a professional organization composed of various heritage professionals of every kind. And perhaps one of our more famous hats is that we're consultants to UNESCO on World Heritage matters, but we also deal with other matters on other types of heritage in the world. It's a global organization currently composed of 153 countries. So this is where I'm coming from when I give my comments. Firstly, congratulations to the city of Manila for undertaking this. I don't know when the last time such an endeavor was undertaken, and I'm glad for the start. No, it's a happy start. It begins with an inventory and all the risks. I have two comments, questions / suggestions. First is, of the list that you gave, it might be useful to prioritize some structures, because in the event of a disaster, knock on wood, people have to know where to go, what to focus on. And that mandate has to be clear across the different organizations that are for safety, disaster management, for interest. Yeah, what's that? Sorry. Rancho, sorry, can you hear me?
Can you repeat the last sentence? We lost you there.
We did a pre-disaster risk management program for Intramuros administration. You can hear me now? Yeah. Yes. And one of the things that emerged from that exercise, the exercise was it is called the disaster imagination game, where we had different stakeholders. It was the LGUs, the fire department, the police department, DILG, so on and so forth. And then imagine a disaster happens right now. Okay, get into positions, who does what? And what emerged from that exercise is that many of the different agencies assumed that the other guy was going to do it for heritage structures. It's not quite clear who does what for heritage structures. Where is the jurisdiction there? Right? Because then you have the NCCA and the different mandates, the NHCP. So that would probably help. And then if you have a prioritized list on where to go to, which are the ones that are absolutely must save, which are private property, which are public property, which are the most vulnerable. And then you all decide which to secure, where to devote the efforts. And then comments of what then, I'd be interested to see with a plan that comes up from this. Is there enough open space for people to run to? What's the plan in the event of a disaster? And also community buy-in, getting the word out. This is where you go if this happens, right? Let me see, I had been taking notes. Yes, early warning systems. Which are the most vulnerable, and what are the preventive measures that one would recommend for these structures? And I guess I'd be interested also, when I had worked in San Sebastian, the issue of liquefaction was prevalent, and it's a question of managing your resources. Are you going to devote all the resources you have into the possibility that the great big earthquake is going to come soon? So it would be interesting when these conversations happen to how the resources are going to be allocated to protect these structures, and which structures become prioritized. So I guess that's it. Those are the general comments. And I'm glad to see in one of your slides you had a what I took to be kind of an open invitation for collaboration, public-private partnerships, and a place for someone like us, a place for an NGO to help out with this upcoming plan. So that's it for me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for that, Tina. Then finally, we have Stephen Pamuraga. Stephen, as an advocate and a startup entrepreneur, what would you like to say regarding the presentation?
Okay, thank you, Radjo, and also thank you, AC. Siguro my comment would be coming from the perspective of an advocate and at the same time as a cultural manager who works in MTCA. But I'll speak first and foremost as an advocate here.
Stephen, your audio is a bit low.
Hello, yes, can you hear me louder now?
Yeah, better.
Is it better? It is better. Okay. First of all, I want to thank AC for sharing this and for being on the spotlight to share about this tourism and cultural development plan of Manila. Kasi we've been in touch primarily in NTCA. We are working together towards building the inventory of cultural properties of Manila. So we're in the talks. Behind the scenes, we are doing that. And at the same time, as an advocate, we're in touch usually when we organize activities in Escolta. So, nag-uusap kami ni AC. And at the same time, pag merong ginigibang buildings sa Manila, minsan sa kanya ko sinishare yung mga nangyayari. So, I'm very happy na at this point in time, as a Manileño, there was never any point in time, at least in my experience, na pag may nangyayaring heritage disasters or heritage issues, open nakausap ang City of Manila. It's only during this time of Mayor Isko Moreno and through the DTCAM na talagang open yung conversation at open yung kanilang lines pagdating sa pag-uusap regarding these things. So, this is a first big step, yung pagkakaroon ng plano towards really making things happen in terms of heritage. I mean, finally, in Manila. Kasi, as a Manileño, parang I live in San Nicolas, by the way. So, taga Manila ako. Laging frustration ng mga tao na ginigiba at hindi alam ng government na ginigiba na pala siya. So, at this point in time, there's already a plan that would somehow comprehensively take on the responsibility to really do something for these heritage sites. And these are only heritage sites, structures pa lang siya. For sure, meron pang plano about intangible heritage and things like that. So, and also, I understand that the IA organizers told us that this is going to be a teaser lang of the plan. So we look forward to see the whole plan ng Manila. I mean, the Manila Tourism and Cultural Development Plan. So, yun yung i-look forward ko personally as an advocate and as a resident of Manila and also a cultural manager. Siguro 3 things lang na gusto kong ma-point out dito. Una is information dissemination. Kasi it's important that everybody knows about this plan. People are aware that the City of Manila is doing something towards really protecting our heritage sites. I mean, finally. Pangalawa is implementation. We look forward to see how the Manila city government would implement this plan and to see how things would go about in terms of collaboration. Again, AC mentioned that it's going to be a private-public partnership. It's really a big task to implement it. And we're only talking about the DRR aspect of the plan pa nga for today, because I understand the plan is parang 200-page document. So we're only tackling the disaster risk management side of things for today. Pero marami dapat gagawin, and maraming people na kailangan natin na isangkot dito sa pag-implement nitong plano na to. And lastly, number 3, participation. I think ito yung pinaka-importante dito, because I would remember I actually attended a workshop when they are formulating this tourism and cultural development plan. I was part of the Binondo Escolta San Nicolas Tourism Hub na team when they were doing this. So I think it's important na mas mapalawak pa natin yung participation. Especially people are really looking forward to be part of this. Kasi plano siya na parang, okay, like Tobit mentioned earlier, sa Taytay, wala pa silang ganitong klaseng plan. So, kumbaga yung mga tao, they are looking for ways and means on how to participate and collaborate when it comes to these kinds of plans. And kumbaga, again, ang masasabi ko dito, hindi naman to perpetuate yung, Manila lang ang magaling or Imperial Manila. But truth be told, that everybody looks at Manila. Kung ano ang ginagawa ng Manila, gagayahin din ng ibang bayan. So kung ito ay matupad at ito ay ma-implement at ang mga tao ay makikilahok dito sa advocacy na to na nakapaloob sa plano na ito, for sure, magdo-domino effect yan, especially sa kabuuan ng bansa na pwede siyang i-implement at pwede siyang gayahin. So all eyes on Manila for now, but it's a big first step na meron tayong plano towards really implementing something towards the protection and promotion of our local cultural heritage in the city. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Stephen, for that very insightful comment. Now that concludes our commentaries from our panelists. Now we proceed to the third part of this episode. So we're now going to the question and answer portion. Abea, you're on mute.
Okay, we have a lot of interesting questions here. For starters, I'll start with Ms. Nina Racela. First, what is the plan of the City of Manila for the Esteros? If that can be answered.
Hello po. Yes po, regarding po dyan sa Esteros, may tinatawag po ang City of Manila na Estero Ranger. So sila po yung nangangalaga ng mga estero natin na hanggat may kailangan po ng kanilang serbisyo, andyan po sila. So, tuloy-tuloy po yung paglilinis na ginagawa nila, yung pagkakakot po nila ng basura. Sa katunayan nga po, sa ngayon po ay parang finalist po yung DPS, yung Department of Public Services natin, na mahawak po doon sa Estero Ranger. Finalist po sila sa DNR National Capital Region Competition yung sa mga estero. So ang ano po ay 14 esteros located sa NCR ang mga magkakalaban. So ngayon po yung Estero de Paco, yun po yung nakapasok as finalist dito sa nasabing competition. So yun po, tuloy-tuloy naman po yung ginagawang paglilinis. Hindi po tumitigil ang administrasyon ni Mayor Dumagoso sa paglilinis na ito.
Thank you. Okay.
Right. We have a question from Howard Ko. So, with problems in traffic and parking facilities for tourist sites, has DTCAM studied or have plans for the future of transportation management? Is it included in the plan? How will tourists access Manila?
Okay. Traffic management is one of the biggest interventions that the city government has or can undertake to improve yung mga plano. Sobrang laking problema ng traffic. To be honest, yung sa bisikleta, pwede ko ba sabihin? Yung pagdating sa bike lanes, sa ngayon, ayaw pa siyang implement ni Mayor kasi hindi maayos yung street natin dito sa Manila. Tapos sobrang kikipot. So pagdating doon sa bike lane, talagang gusto niya pag-aralan mabuti. Ayaw niyang i-implement agad. So, ayun po.
Thank you for that. Yeah?
Yeah. Is there a budget for this program? It is from an anonymous attendee.
Yes. The whole project's worth 2 billion. But hindi naman po mismo sa city lang manggagaling yung funding. So, kaya nga po makikipag-partner po kami sa mga private investors na makakatulong po sa amin. Lahat naman po welcome sa Manila.
Sorry, just a follow-up question on that, what you just said. Regarding this partnership with the private sector, what is the expectation? Like, up to what extent can the private sector contribute to this? Is it merely financial, or is there something more that they can do?
Siguro that will be answered sa aming roadshow that will happen hopefully next year.
Right, so we're going to have a roadshow, no? So hopefully by January, yes?
Hopefully, sir.
Hopefully. So the roadshow
namin ipapakita yung buong nilalaman ng Manila Tourism Cultural Development Plan. So sana supportahan niyo yung roadshow na gagawin namin.
Yes, definitely. We support it. Now, the roadshow is basically the presentation of the entire plan, yes?
Yes po.
Okay. So we are excited for that roadshow. And where can we get updates on when the next roadshow will be staged?
Sorry.
Where can we get updates on the roadshow?
Sir Rancho, open naman yung line ko anytime.
Sorry, for the public.
Sa public, tuloy-tuloy naman po yung ginagawa naming posting sa social media accounts namin. So, dun nyo po makikita lahat po ng mga plano namin binubuo at saka yung mga announcements namin.
Thank you. There's actually, okay, I'll just mention this one from another anonymous attendee. How can a heritage NGO volunteer work with the city government on this?
Sorry?
Sorry. How can a heritage NGO volunteer work with the city government dito po sa development plan?
Paano ba?
Coordinate with the DTCAM.
Yes, siguro. Since we crafted naman tong MTCDP with a highly participatory process, so bakit hindi namin i-welcome yung mga tao na willing tumulong sa amin, like yung mga NGO advocates group na tumulong sa pagbuhay muli ng mga heritage sites dito sa Manila. So, yun po, bukas naman po yung mga linya namin and yung mga social media accounts namin para po sa mga future announcement at saka yung mga susunod na plano ng DTCAM and the City of Manila.
Thank you for that, AC. Now we have one comment from Violet Munoz. In the recently conducted second annual Intramuros Young Scholars Conference program, the seismic vulnerability assessment of San Agustin in Manila was presented. Her question is, does Manila have any plan for the San Agustin Church? Is San Agustin Church included in the plan? So is there any specific provision specifically for the church, considering its importance as one of our most prominent historical sites? So
Sa, Mhm. Sa ngayon po, ang nakalagay po na plano for the San Agustin Church is not for retrofitting. Para ang una pong priority ng lungsod at nung pinaka MTCDP is yung San Sebastian Church. So, sa Santa Ana Church po, ang retrofitting po kasi dito sa San Agustin Church, it requires technical studies which are part of the plan. Pero pagdating nga po dito sa San Agustin Church, we have complex and portions nung you call this one? Portions nung Fort Santiago are what remain of its pre-war past. So the intangible cultural heritage po associated dun sa wall, sa buong wall po ng Intramuros ay sa plano ng Intramuros administration and ng city government, and this can be relieved po through events such as the Semana Santa activity. Sa ngayon po, yun lang po yung programa na nakahanda para sa loob ng Intramuros. Pero ang priority po kasi ngayon is yung sa San Sebastian Church. Yun po yung gustong i-save ng City of Manila.
Well, that's very nice to include San Sebastian sa priority ng City of Manila because it is indeed a problem right now.
Yes.
There's this question both from Rosalie and from an anonymous attendee. First is that, can we have access to the list of cultural properties which were surveyed and included sa table on your presentation? And will the full plan be published and available to the public?
Siguro po makikita po natin yan. Hintayin na lang po natin yung roadshow nung pinaka-plano.
Thank you for that, AC. So, yes, we are so excited about the roadshow of the City of Manila, which is going to be staged next January. So, for our viewers, this is something to look forward to in 2021. And for updates, feel free to follow them in their social media. So they are available in Facebook. Just look for the Department of Tourism, Culture, and Arts of Manila. And don't worry, because if any updates on the roadshow, on the development plan for tourism and culture, will be shared as well by the Facebook and other social media channels of the Intramuros administration. So we are very supportive of this, and we are going to promote as well the roadshow. Right. So we still have a lot of questions actually. So we can accommodate more, I think. Right. We have from Riel Diala. So, what is the role of the city of towards heritage sites being demolished or at risk of demolition?
Okay, napakahirap na tanong. Actually, yung sa demolition and yung sa mga nangangamba na ma-demolish, actually sa ngayon po, mag-convene po ang Committee on Tourism pagdating dyan sa bagay na yan. Kasi po, nagugulat na lang kami na bigla may demolish na lugar or isang heritage site na hindi namin nalalaman na hindi dumadaan sa amin. So, my boss, Director Charlie Dungo, nakipag-usap po siya kay Mayor na sana mag-convene po pagdating dito sa bagay na to kasi hindi dumadaan sa amin yung permit to demolish yung isang lugar. Parang, then yung ibang national agency po, parang lift na lang sila ng lift nung bagay na yun, which is dapat hindi kasi yun nga po yung presume
AC, you're still there? AC?
Yes po, yun po. So which is yung, ang nakakalungkot lang po kasi minsan, yung mga national agencies, sila po yung yung ganon. So, hindi ko talaga, kaya nakipag-usap kami kay Mayor na sana mag-convene na dumaan sa aming opisina yung pag-release ng demolition permit para hindi nagkakagulatan.
Abia, do you have any more questions?
We have from Sir Art Serrano of Escolta. While disaster risk protection for heritage buildings is important, market forces present a more pressing danger to heritage. Naturally, heritage buildings are at a disadvantage against high-density buildings in a commercial sense. And this often leads to owners selling off their properties in exchange for more profitable developments. Are there actions being done by the MTCAB or the city government of Manila in reaction to this? Should I repeat?
Siguro regarding dun sa question ni Sir Art,
Yeah.
the DTCAM will organize venue na lang po for discussion pagdating sa bagay na yan.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very important talaga to have people, the government listening to the people who are interested and who really would want to participate in these kinds of concerns.
Thank you for that, EC. Now, there's a question here. Is the Intramuros administration under the city government of Manila? So I think I can answer that for Intramuros administration.
Have their own.
Intramuros administration is a national government under the supervision of the Department of Tourism, and the city of Manila and Intramuros administration work hand in hand. They complement each other towards the preservation and promotion of Intramuros. So namely, the mayor of Manila is part of the board of the Intramuros administration. And we have a question, AC, from Kimberly Castillo. What are the projects you have to sustain the physical conditions of heritage sites of old buildings in Manila? So is there any specific measures or are there any specific provisions for that in the plan? Easy.
Yes po, sir. Sorry, what is your question po?
Right. Kimberly is asking, so what are your projects for to sustain the physical conditions of heritage sites, and do you have any provisions on that in the plan?
Actually, the city is now updating the Manila's resilient LUP and zoning ordinance. Included po yun dyan sa tourism development plan natin, yung pag-update ng zoning ordinance kasi po yung mga physical na itsura nung isang heritage site, pag tinayuan po ng isang building or what is nasisira. So, we update po yung zoning ordinance po. So, ngayon po, on board na po siya sa City Council.
Thank you for that, AC. Now, we have a lot of questions. Actually, our audience today is really eager about this plan. They're very excited to know more. So that's why we're having a lot of questions now. But unfortunately, we are running out of time. So maybe we can have the last question, Bea.
All right. There is one from Joven Hakolbia. Hi, thank you for emphasizing the need for DRRM in cultural and heritage management. One question though, did you put into consideration the Manila Bay Reclamation projects recently approved for construction next year? Is there already a plan to address this specific concern considering the environmental consequences based on studies?
Regarding po dyan sa question para sa reclamation, I think I'm not the one who's responsible to answer the question when it comes to reclamation program. So thank you po.
All right, we respect that. Now we are done with our Q&A part, and now we proceed to the fourth and final part of our session. We're now going to have a game, the usual Intramuros learning sessions. So now I turn over to our game master, Bia and Bea. So Bia and Bea?
Yes. All right. Okay, so we will have a word hunt. So this game is exclusively for the Zoom participants. So for those who are watching via Facebook Live, try to join us by registering at bit.ly/ILS-39-zoomreg. I placed it down on the comment section on the live. So please click that out and then try to join us here. So the mechanics of this game is that we will have 2 word puzzles, one Tagalog and one English, which both have 5 words for you to hunt. The words can be formed in any direction, and these words are related to our topic today. If you are the first one to find one of the 5 words in the puzzle, you will win a limited edition Intramuros beat card. So to answer, please use the Zoom chat and type in your full name together with your answer. Don't forget to screenshot your answer as proof, and you can claim your prize at Intramuros administration once MGCQ allows you to visit Intramuros.
Right there, if I may interrupt, maybe they can just write the name because the answer because their name is already in the Zoom chat.
Thank you. Okay, Bia, I'll give you the floor to preside the rest of the game.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Bianca from Pamanatag and Action for Resilient Communities. So for this game, we will have 10 winners. As Bea said, it's a word hunt. So if you haven't signed in yet, now is your time to log in. So the mechanics are, we will give you 2 puzzles. So one Tagalog puzzle and one English puzzle. So are we going to start with the puzzle already?
Right.
Okay, let's start. This is you will find 5 words. So each person is entitled to find one word, and then all you have to do is post the word that you'll find, and then together with your name, and please take a screenshot of your answer, so that if you're going to win, you can claim the prizes and have it as a proof, basically.
Yes, so we are already having some answers, as in we've got a winner on the word panatag from Zen Mika, and then Sigasig is by Dion Kaitiles, and then April Joy is the one who first wrote Pamana, so that's 3.
And then that.
Sigasig, okay. Okay.
Okay, so
Bansa.
So while Bea is trying to identify the winners, so for now, let me just advise you that the prize for this game will be a limited edition of beep card to be provided by the Intramuros administration. So if you have signed in, we will be sending you an email to know how to claim your prizes after. And whenever you're ready, Bea, announce the winners.
Okay, we've got Zanika from, okay, it's hard.
Okay, and also make sure to remember all those words that you have seen on the screen, because you will use that for the bonus round later on. So we'll give more information about that. So
Yeah, actually, yeah, we have.
So we have 5 winners na. I saw them already. So the one who first got the correct answer is Zen Micah Reganit. So he won again. So you already have a lot of beep cards from us. Congratulations again, Zen. So he got the word. Is that?
Panata.
Sorry, where is that?
Panatag.
Yeah, the next one is Johnny Kaitiles. Hi, Johnny. So he got the word sigasig. Yes?
Yes.
We have Pamana by April Joy Kentosola. So hello, you won because you're the first to get the word Pamana. So that's 3 winners. And then, sino pa?
Actually, there's a bonus here.
We have Renato Ocampo Jr. Hi.
Wow,
He got the word Panatag. And then, si Eliza Marie Marchadesh. I hope I got that name correctly. Hi, Eliza. You're the 5th winner because you're the first to get bansa. So there are 5. There's a bonus word here, yes?
Yeah, there's.
Has someone gotten that already? Panata. Who got that?
He's like, I see Emerson.
Emerson? Is it Emerson? No. Or is it? Yeah, congratulations, Micaela Angela Piging. You got the word panata panata first.
All right. Please make sure to screenshot your answers so that you can have that as proof when you visit Intramuros administration once the MGCQ is okay.
So let me just to clarify. So you earned for yourself a beep card from the Intramuros administration, and you can claim the beep card at the Fort Santiago or at the Palacio del Gobernador. Just look for me, Rancho Arcilla, or Jeffrey Yap. So just go to Intramuros, but go if by the time we're already in MGCQ or Modified General Community Quarantine, because by then Intramuros will be reopened to the public. So this is an incentive for you to visit us again here in Intramuros, and we look forward to seeing you again here in the walled city.
Congratulations again on the winners.
But wait, there's more. So that's the Tagalog part. Now we'll move on to the next, which is the English puzzle. So are you ready? Same.
Are you guys ready?
Tenants. Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Go.
Wow.
Oh, ang bibilis. Okay, so remember to screenshot your answers for proof.
Micaela, nanalo ulit.
Can we do that, or can we move on to like a new person? So second, I suggest we move on to the second person who did not win on the earlier game.
So who's the second after
Jeremiah Inocencio.
Hi.
That's nice. All right. Okay, 5. Produce is unfortunately not. Okay. And take note, we are using words which are related to the webinar. That's why if there are some words here that are in English, but it's not related to the ILS sessions, unfortunately, that's not part of the answers. Risk is won by Jacqueline Aliana. Reduce is by Ashley. All right, let's view the winning words. We've got hazard, protect, heritage, risk, and reduce.
Okay, so remember to take note of these 5 words because you will use that for the next round, which is the bonus round.
Who got the word hazard?
Sir Ferdinand Absalon.
Congratulations, Ferdinand. And to Jacqueline earlier, who got risk.
Produced is by Ashley Pulog. And I'm typing in as well. And then last is
Protect. Who got protect?
Teresita Dumlao.
Sorry?
Teresita Dumlao.
Yeah, Teresita Dumlao.
Yeah. Congratulations, everyone. So do we have a bonus activity here?
But first, let me share with you a trivia. So the name of the initiative, Pamanatag, is actually a word play itself. So it consists of the words Panata, to represent the pledge, Pamana, to connote heritage or legacy, Panatag, which meant safety, and then Matatag, that's first strength. So dahil sa pamanatag, which we are doing right now, ang ating panata ay panatilihin na ang ating pamana ay panatag at matatag. So we want to protect our cultural heritage, these voices, members of our community, and the bearers of our generation's legacy from the natural and even man-made hazards, especially disasters happening in our country, through disaster prevention and mitigation measures. So for the bonus round, we want you to join us in the movement. So what is your hashtag aking pamanatag? So in a public post, tell us two things, either in English or in Tagalog. So you can post that on your wall. And then first, all you have to do is to post your name and your location and what are the other cultural heritage concerns or changes needed to be done in your community. Second is, how can you be an agent of change for the protection of cultural heritage in your area? So what is your personal pledge for given the very insightful talks that we've had today? So you may send in your answers until December 20 and use the hashtags aking pamanatag, that's one. Second, we are Intramuros. And third is Bagong Maynila. So, all right. And yeah, that's it for the bonus round. So congratulations again to the winners of our word hunt.
Yay, congratulations. Okay, Sir Rancha.
Right, all right. So that concludes our 39th episode of the Intramuros Learning Sessions. So for those who missed this episode, for those who missed this episode, don't worry because we are going to upload this episode later in our YouTube channel. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And for future episodes of the Intramuros Learning Sessions, you can stay tuned by following us in our social media channels. We are available in Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Right. For Pamanatag, for more info on the next activities that are related to disaster risk reduction and heritage conservation, please follow us on our social media pages. As in, we just started. That is why there's not much yet. So it would be nice to have your support. So just type Pamanatag on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. So as starters, this is just the beginning of this conversations on disaster risk resilience and heritage conservation. So that's it. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you so much for that. And also, as usual, I'd like to promote Intramuros Administration's Google Arts and Culture page. So if you missed going to our museums, fear not, because you can visit our Google Arts and Culture page. Just key in Intramuros Administration, and from there you can view our digitized museum collections. So we have Santos, mostly our collections are ecclesiastical in nature. So we have Santos of wood, ivory, silver, but we also have photographs from our archives, which are featured in the Google Arts and Culture page. And lastly, I'd like to promote our next episodes for this year. So for 2020, these are our last episodes. So we're going to end our year with a bang. That's why in episode number 40, the title is Writing History with Bombs and Bulldozers. So episode 40 is brought to you by Eric Aquedono. That will his episode will be on November 28th. Sorry, it's not 2002. Sorry, 2020. Sorry, my bad. That's a typo. December. Sorry. My God. December 28th. Wait lang. So on December 28th, 2020, we're going to have a webinar with Eric Aquedono. And then on December 29, sorry, my bad. There. Oh. Anyway, don't mind the typo. So on December 29, we have a webinar with Rafael Calao. We're going to discuss about the giant lanterns of San Fernando. So that will be our finale for this year, 2020. And for next year, of course, 2021, we're going to have more Intramuros learning sessions. So we're going to keep up this weekly program with you guys. So right, so that ends our episode for today. And thank you, Bea and Bia. And thank you, speakers. Thank you, AC Salonga. Thank you, Dante Uliterio. Thank you, Tina Paterno, Stephen Pamorada, and Tobit Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, to our dear attendees, to our audience, thank you for everything. And until next time.